Sorry. Next company is Instructure. I trip over the name. Da 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 da. Okay. All right. So Devlin Daley is the co-founder. He's going to present. Who here has used Blackboard? Who here thinks it sucks? That's what these guys are talking about. Okay. That's what they do. It's a learning management system. They've been working on it for a couple years, right? 2 years or so. And the 3 lessons that they wrote down are maybe the best I've ever read. So validate your product before you write any code. Number 2, validate your product before you write any code. And number 3, validate your product before you write any code. Words of wisdom from a couple of engineering-based guys who can write all the code that they want and basically watch it collect dust in the innards of their computer. So Devlin, come on up and tell us about Instructure.
Thanks. So I'm with Instructure, and we build a learning management system. So you guys know it's Blackboard. It's the software that you use to take online courses. It's the software you use when you take a face-to-face class nowadays. That's how you get your assignments. You turn in assignments. You get your grades. That you collaborate with the other students to learn something, right? Right. So, like I say, you guys have heard of Blackboard. And Blackboard is representative of the market in that most of the software has copied Blackboard's model and their approach to learning, in that it was invented in the mid-90s and it's kind of stayed there, okay? So there's a huge frustration with all the students. I mean, you use these nice apps out on the web today, and then you go to class and you go to use their software, and it's going back in time, 15 years, right? So there's a lot of frustration, but Blackboard, we do have to give them their props because they own this market, okay? So Blackboard has not only grown, but they have a tendency of always acquiring number 2 in the market. And they've done that twice, WebCT and with Angel Learning. So there's only a couple of actually standalone commercial players, and then there's 2 open source projects that are kind of making a run at it too. But again, this kind of following the same model as Blackboard is kind of a copy that's slightly better, but still an old paradigm, right? Nothing that anyone's used to. So there's still a lot of frustration with Blackboard, both from teachers and students and administrators. And okay, so we knew we could build a better Blackboard, okay? We totally knew it, and we knew it would be fairly easy to build a better Blackboard, but we need to make sure that what we were building was something that the market would want, something the market would buy. So what we did is we validated our product. We created a 381-slide PowerPoint that went down even to the click level of, this is what we think the system would look like. This is how it would work. And then we hit the road. We talked to universities and everyone involved. We learned a lot about education. There's administrators, there's instructional designers, instructional psychologists, and teachers and students, all that, okay? And so with it, then we would sit down and we say, this is what we think, what do you think? And this wasn't to get a wish list of things to build. This was more to have a productive conversation. It was, they would ask, well, we want this. And we said, well, why do you want that? And it was, then you had to steer them away, like, because they've been so used to the other systems that they hadn't even known that other things were possible. Okay, so we had to steer them a different way and say, well, what if we did it this way? Like, well, I didn't even know that was possible. And yes, I would buy that. You can just ask them, if I built this, would you buy it? And if you're very frank, you can actually get very frank answers, right? So this went extremely well. We took this validation tour. It took us about a summer to do. And so we started, this actually gave us our roadmap of the exact system that we needed to build that schools would buy. So we started development in November of 2008, and things have just been going fantastic since then. So we secured venture funding, we have paying clients, and we're just continuing to grab momentum in the market space. Right? So in fact, today we released the new user interface for our product. So a couple of screenshots of what we build. Okay, so if you're familiar with web applications, you already know how to use Instructure, right? But this is actually quite revolutionary in this market. But it is geared specifically towards education. Okay, so you have right here on the left, this is your content. Anything that happens in a course comes in here. It could be asynchronous video. You can have actually complete discussion topics using just video. It supports distance learning, self-paced courses, things that you can go directly, take an action on any assignment that's coming up, right? So a feature that is the student favorite is our notification platform. So any event that happens inside the system, so like a change to a course page, a teacher will go and update what assignment 5 is supposed to do. Instead of then having to email the entire class, I changed it, you need to go look it up, we'll actually send it to the students if they want to know about it. Okay, so we'll send it to their email. You can add another one so you can send it to their email, their Facebook, their cell phone, their iPhone, it doesn't matter. Right? And so we found that students really want to know what's going on, and so they crank this up. Right? So we actually had a recent distance education program come on with just 500 students, and they turned up these preferences so much that within the first 2 weeks we had over 12,000 messages generated by 500 users. Right? But I mean, people were really engaged in a lot of energy in those courses. They were actually enjoying and getting a lot more out of it than any other systems ever provided. Okay, so we also provide some tools for teachers. This is an example of our speed grader. So you can turn in multiple files, you can turn in web pages, you can turn in video, anything. We'll show it directly inside the browser. We'll convert it to something you can see right there. You can grade it, you can give some comments on it. You can even do a video response and just hit the record button and use your microphone. And so this is the favorite. I mean, lazy teachers love it, and then good teachers who want to give good feedback, they love it too. And this has been really successful. This is will be our first iPad app that we'll release later this summer. It's called our Speed Grader. Right? So, okay, so we have an interesting effect that the end users of the system aren't the ones that actually make the buying decision. Right? So any teacher or student who sees the system wants to use it. And so we leverage that in that we provide Instructure fully supported, fully hosted with all the features to any teacher, regardless if their school has bought the product or not. Okay, so this lets us have internal champions so that when we do approach schools, because it's more of a direct enterprise sale, that we can say, well, let's talk to the 10 teachers at your school already using the system, right? And see what they think about it. Right? And so if you guys, I'm sure you guys have teacher friends and in your family, is you don't have to set up MediaWiki and run WordPress for them anymore. Just send them over to Instructure and we'll take care of them. Okay? Okay. So some things I'm curious if you guys can help us out with is, we're trying to use some social media and just ramping that up just now to, do this groundswell with teachers. But again, with that groundswell is how can we influence people who aren't necessarily on the social network.